One of the Empire's strengths is their great variety of ranged infantry, and this build has almost all of them. I don't think there are any crossbowmen in this build, but from Boojilicious, we've got an absolute Chad Empire build here, a mix of Free Company, Sterling's Revenge, I think are pretty much the only Free Company actually, some handgunners and silver bullets. Also got archers and huntsmen mixed in here in the main line, and some more handgunners in the back. There are two Empire Knights for countercharging, and Boris the Todd up in the sky, of course, with the Light Wizard as well for nets, which obviously is going to synergize great with this build. Foz Protection also to help some of these units potentially hold out in melee. As for the opponent here, Anti-Kaiju's Chaos Dwarfs have come with two Deathstreaker rocket launchers. We've got some blunderbusses and, three blunderbusses, 4 warriors, 4 of them, and a whole meat shield line of laborers, along with some wolf raiders with spears to protect the back. And the rockets are going to be used to target various units here as the Empire Chaos Dwarfs kind of pull up for a little bit of a shootout here. Chaos Dwarf infantry actually is probably just as slow, if not slower, than this Empire ranged infantry, so it's not like they can really chase here very effectively. I mean, Sterling's Avenge, Free Company at 36 speed, 33 speed. Well, there are actually some crossbowmen here, so we do have the nice full-on grab bag of all of the ranged infantry here. So, yeah, quite nice to see. Let's see what they can do. The Goblin Laborers are actually fast enough, 33 speed, same speed as like these crossbowmen and whatnot. So, could potentially close within range and catch them, but due to their poor leadership and the fact they've got no missile block chance, really the best thing that can be asked of them is just to catch as many arrows and bullets as possible, which they are going to absolutely do right now. In beautiful fashion, it must be said. Style points definitely for dying in such a fashion, laborers. It is going to waste some ammunition, not a considerable amount, but it does waste some, and at the very least they use their HP as efficiently as possible for that. It must be noted, Anti-Kaiju is going to forget one of these Deathstreaker rocket launchers on the anti-large firing mode, which is a little bit unfortunate since it's not targeted at Boris. If it was targeted at Boris, it'd be good, but even targeting like these Empire Knights is better to be on the scatter shot, so a little bit of a mistake there by a veteran player, but it'll be alright. Still going to do some damage, but certainly could do a lot more damage over time if it was set to that anti-infantry firing mode. But taking a look here, the Chaos Dwarf Infantry are going to push forward, use their shields and their armor to resist some of this ranged fire. Of course, the armor-piercing bullets will be pretty painful to deal with, but can get into combat no problem here. Silver bullets, despite their Regiment of Renown status, are obviously going to lose out heavily in that fight. But let's see, there's plenty of overlapping units to try and fire in. These Wolf Riders are also going to time in a charge here, try and catch these Archers, which relatively low tier units should be able to mop them up quickly, but the Empire Knights immediately respond, crush them, and potentially move on here. We'll see. The Empire Knights also kind of cycle charging in the front line a little bit, breaking up the Chaos Dwarf advance, making sure missile units have plenty of time and space, use up all of their ammunition. Boris also lurking in the air, trying to get after this metal, looks like. Lore of Metal Sorcerer Prophet, going to throw down a nice final transmutation. Only hits Boris and is stationary on the ground, so Boris can actually leave the area of effect to stop the damage. A little bit unfortunate. Should have been casted directly on him, but that's okay. The Sorcerer Prophet also getting punished heavily by the opposing gun line, so both gun lines just going for the Lord and getting some damage in, forces both of them to disengage, take more of a commander role in the back line, at least for the time being. Boris, of course, can heal, whereas the Sorcerer Prophet cannot, which is definitely a problem for him. At least I don't think so. It's not this guy that has the heal. No, he does have a heal, that's right. Spells cast within range, so potentially if he tries to get after that Lord of Light Mage, if he's still alive, might have actually gotten killed already. Definitely was not paying attention to that. Shows you how good of a caster I am, even after all these years. But yeah, if he was to go snipe the caster, could potentially get a little bit of healing out. But if the caster's already gone, then that's, yeah, his healing has been effectively shut down. But Boris lands, very risky land here. He's got blunderbusses within range to open fire, and the blunderbusses haven't really been focused down by the Empire's ranged too much yet, so they're still operational enough to do some serious damage. Let's see. Yeah, the rockets continuing to just rain away all day. They're in a very well-protected position. But again, that single target, not super effective against, especially like the more loose formation of the archers and the huntsmen. Even the scatter rockets are not necessarily going to do as much damage to them as they would the more rank-and-file, handgunners and crossbowmen. Yeah, Sterling's Avenge also, even though Free Company regularly, I believe, are loose formation, right? I think they are now. But these guys are more rank-and-file, so they'll potentially take a really huge amount of damage from a tight rocket spread like right there. They pretty much get completely deleted and are likely to just rout there, less than 1,000 HP. Another final transmutation, though, as Boris tries to go after one of the rockets in the back line. Sorcerer Prophet's going to charge down melee on the menacing rocket. Oh, man. That is rather concerning, the shape of that rocket and the manner at which it is maneuvering to extra-large Boris's behind. Yeah, this is a bug in the current patch that unfortunately was not fixed before the holiday break. That the Griffins are very small right now in comparison to their lords, so very hilarious kind of sight as Boris is absolutely gunned down, but the Sorcerer Prophet also is probably going to get traded out here, so both lords essentially done for at this point. The balance of power is pretty much dead even. You have some huntsmen running out of ammunition, running into melee combat. The Empire Knights have just been continuing to effectively break up the advance and make sure these Chaos Dwarf infantry units can't effectively engage Empire's ranged units in melee. Huntsmen, of course, having used all their ammunition, are going to be used as the next roadblock. Decent move here to just maneuver them back as well, not necessarily just fully sacrifice into that engagement. And pull back and force Anti-Kaiju's micro to then follow up into another unit, potentially. But it's looking pretty grim outside of the two rockets, which still have a decent amount of ammunition and HP. Pretty much the rest of the Chaos Dwarfs army is destroyed at this point. What remains of their infantry getting crushed now by Empire cavalry. Blunderbusses running for the hills, as do the infantry as well. So looking good there for the Empire. Sorcerer Prophet's going to come back for one more go. Boris also out in the distance, regenerating his HP, trying to get combat effective. But all it took was just looking at those Empire Knights, casting one Searing Doom, and the Sorcerer Prophet once again routs. Meanwhile, Death Shriekers using up, how many shots have they got left here apiece? Let's see, 7 here, 7 here. So, yeah, they are starting to finish off some of these Empire range units, though. I mean, we've got one unit of handgunners here with a decent amount of ammunition. Their column formation does concern me greatly, though. Like one foul rocket landing right in the middle of that formation would do an obscene amount of damage and probably one-shot the unit, to be honest. But let's go POV on this unit as they close the distance. See one more Searing Doom cast there. Making sure the rocket does not get surrounded at this point, but the guns close in range. Fire off a nice volley. The rocket just about hits the anti-large variant on Boris, but at this point the Chaos Dwarfs quickly run into army losses and they will flee. So Empire ends up winning out on that shootout. Quite the battle, it has to be said. Very close at a number of different points, but Bujulicious just able to persevere with his shooting, get the key targets taken down, and good job by these Empire Knights kind of delaying the advance there, even if only one of them even gets close to paying for themselves. Ranged units definitely carried as they needed to. Silver Bullets getting some really nice value. Same thing with these Free Company, Sterling's Revenge. Huntsmen all get really good value as well, which is somewhat surprising given their relative lack of armor piercing, but of course fire into the Sorcerer Prophet or either of these Death Shriekers is going to be extra damaging from that anti-large, and of course they will just absolutely tear Wolf Raiders to shreds, which it seems to happen to a couple of them. One of the Wolf Raiders, though, gets some pretty good value. Going back to the Empire side, handgunners, 1,200 value, 700 value, very good stuff there. 123 kills, too. Handgunners is one of those units that don't super often, at least in multiplayer, get like really high numbers of kills. This one's pretty impressive, though. Must have gunned down quite a few of those laborers. Crossbowmen, super cost-effective. One of my favorite Empire infantry missile units, personally. And then the archers also 610 on a single archer unit is extremely cost effective. So great stuff all around for the Empire Daka build here. And then, yeah, for the Chaos Dwarfs, again, we see the relative value difference between these two. And especially note the models killed. I mean, this one still ends up doing a pretty decent amount of damage, even for being on the wrong ammunition type. But just a small error that sort of over time added up to a pretty big difference. I don't know, it might not have been a decisive difference. It's hard to say. A few key, scatter shots landing on a few of these remaining multi-model skirmish units, like especially these healthy handgunners that probably did the lion's share of the damage there at the end. Maybe it changes the outcome of the battle. It's hard to say, in a battle like this. But blunderbusses certainly performed very well. Got some great damage in on Boris. But then the melee infantry largely just got seal clubbed here. Yeah, pretty much no value there. Very little, it must be said. 550 actually on one Chaos Dwarf infantry is okay. Then the Wolf Raiders, again, only one pays for itself. The other one, one is pretty much a fail. This one does okay, all right. But especially considering the build, maybe you would have hoped for a little bit more, but certainly an unusual Empire build. It's the one thing about the Empire is they can go in a few different directions, and this is certainly one of them. Just overwhelming firepower, especially at short range. A good variety of different types of units, too. And of course, the Empire Knights kind of break things up. Ended up working out very well. Certainly was risky. I could think up some Chaos Dwarf builds that would certainly give this some major problems, but this one ends up going well. And credit to both players. Definitely a good game. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.